Welcome to video 3 in my Fit for Life series, where I'm going to break down exactly what to do to strengthen our bodies, reinforce good posture, and effectively lose weight. And I'm going to explain exactly how to do it. Since I'm a stay-at-home dad with 2 kiddos, I'm very limited on time. I don't have hours to spend working out each day, which is why it's so important to be efficient by utilizing full body movements. Now, that doesn't mean this information is just for stay-at-homes. I mean, it is great for them, but it's also great for anyone who wants thoughtful, step-by-step workout tips that make sense. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it.
Daddy, 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 Daddy!
The goal with every movement I do is to hit as many body parts as possible to make my workouts as efficient as possible. We do that by focusing on compound movements which engage many muscles all at once. We can hit the majority of our muscles in our entire body with just 4 movements: a push, a pull, a core exercise, and a hip hinge movement. If all you do is alternate those 4 things, you will be surprised at the results you get. We will go through each of those movements one by one. Let me quickly expand on why compound movements are so much better than doing isolation movements. For example, I rarely do bicep curls or tricep pushdowns. It's such a waste of time when you're short on time. Let's look at what happens. When you do a bicep curl, you're doing 3 things. You are supinating the hand, you're flexing at the elbow, and you're flexing at the shoulder. Let's look at a row. A row is when you pull something towards you. For this example, I will use a resistance band, but then I will talk about how to do this movement with household items. Look at this movement a couple times. Not only am I engaging huge muscles like my traps, my lats, rhomboids, rear delts. Look at my elbow. It's flexing like the bicep curl. Look at my hand. It's supinating. My shoulder is flexing. My biceps are getting blasted here. So why not just do more rows which are hitting so many muscles, including my biceps, where we can get so much more done? And I can engage my core and my legs. Here's how to do a proper row. Start with strong wrists that don't break, like you're gonna punch through a wall. Tighten your core. Now we don't want high elbows, and we don't want tucked in elbows. They should be in the middle, at a 45-degree angle. You can do other angles, but this hits the most muscles. Our starting point with every exercise we do begins with proper posture. Chest and rib cage up, shoulders relaxed and straight. Watch a couple times. What I'm trying to do is squeeze my shoulder blades together. Imagine you have an orange between your shoulder blades and you're trying to juice it. Then, on the eccentric phase, when we're lowering the weight, we want our shoulder blades to retract and move along your rib cage. So you want to get your shoulder blades as far apart as possible on the negative rep. We're trying to move our shoulder blades along our rib cage for this movement. Aim for 1 second concentric, that means 1 second to squeeze, and 1 second eccentric, or when we release the movement. That eccentric phase is actually where most of the ripping occurs, like I talked about in video 2. It's important, so don't rush it. As far as how far you should go, you do the exercise until your shoulder blades are fully contracted. Don't keep going and bend your elbows awkwardly. Now, I'm using a band, which is a great tool to have, and it's worth buying. But if you don't have one, let me show you some other ways to do the movement. If you just have weights or anything heavy, you'll have to bend over to do the movement. That's fine. Use the hip hinge I talked about in video 1 to bend and keep your back straight. Here's me doing the exercise in the kitchen with milk. One hand is a little slower than doing it with 2 hands, but it's better for your core. So if this is all you got, use it. If you drank all the milk, fill it up with water. Too easy? Fill it up with sand or rocks. Have a kid? Use your kid. Don't have a kid? Don't drink milk? Find something, bend over and row it. Here's me rowing a stool. Lastly, instead of pulling something towards me, here's me holding a banister and using my body as the weight. These kind of movements are great if you're at the playground with your kid. Sure, people might think you're crazy, but at least you won't have back pain. Your pull is so important for keeping your posture and keeping you upright as you age. Do something. Just like a row hits all your pulling muscles, the opposite movement to that, a press, works all the opposing muscle groups. Your push muscles, your chest, your triceps, shoulders, etc. Our tricep, for example, straightens our arm, right? It does the opposite of the bicep. It's the antagonist to the bicep. So instead of spending time doing tricep pushdowns like this, watch me do a chest press and notice what's happening. My arms are straightening just like they did in the tricep pushdown, but now not only are my triceps getting worked, my chest, my shoulders, even my core, they are all working hard. This is the same as the pull when we begin. Start with good posture and a straight neck. We want to aim for a 45-degree angle from our shoulder. Engage the core, strong wrists, and don't forget to breathe. If your elbows are too high, look at my chest. It's loose. You often see people doing push-ups like this. Hey, it's still a push-up, but you're barely working your chest. All you're doing is working your shoulders. Too close in, now you're hitting your triceps. Elbows in the middle is the most efficient. A lot of people are confused about how the chest muscles actually work. They don't necessarily push things away, they bring things across your body. Look at me doing a chest press. Now, look at my chest when I squeeze my hands together. I want you to try something. Put your arms out straight and clap your hands together, and now squeeze, like you're squeezing a tennis ball between your hands. You should feel your chest engaging. That's why the squeeze at the top of a movement is so important. Even when doing things like push-ups, at the top of the movement, we still try and squeeze our hands together. That really hits our chest. Now, it doesn't matter if you do this exercise standing up, or lying down, or bent over, it's the same. Here's me doing push-ups on the kitchen counter. These are great not just for engaging so many muscles, but for my core as well. It's a good habit to do equal amounts of pushing and pulling, to keep those pulleys tight, like I mentioned. Although, to be honest, you could probably do more pulling than pushing if you're a normal person and have a phone or have ever worked on a computer. Let's move on. In my first video, I talked about how to engage the core, so be sure to watch that if you haven't yet. Now, the way we exercise our core is we have to put our body in situations where it has to fight to have good posture and stay in that position. We all know about the plank, which is great. Remember, we want to have that good posture I talked about in video 1. So if you do the plank, make sure you do it with correct alignment. Use that broom trick I mentioned in the video if you want to make sure you are doing it right. Planking doesn't have to be done lying down either. Waiting for that water to boil? Do some counter push-ups and countertop planks. Too easy? Use one hand. It doesn't have to be on the elbows either. I prefer plank from a push-up position. Planking is great, but there is so much more we can do. Simple things like holding a weight in one hand. Our body is fighting to stay upright. Use that jug of milk and walk slowly with good posture. If you are able to hit the floor, doing bird dogs are great. Here are bird dogs. Again, focus on alignment. Use that broomstick if you have to at first. Move different body parts. Your body has to fight to keep its alignment. This is great for the core. Those are bird dogs, and the goal is to do the opposite arm and leg at the same time. Some of you might be thinking, I can't even get down to the floor, Evan. What about me? Here's another simple way to engage the core. Stand on one leg and keep that posture and core tight. Oh, not hard enough for you? Close your eyes. Seriously, pause the video and try it. It's harder than you think. These are things you can do anywhere that work your core, and they're great for your balance. That's the thing with the core. You can do it all of the time. Those rows and presses I talked about earlier, flex your core while you do them. Want a harder challenge? Do your push and pull on one leg. Doing controlled exercises like counter push-ups on one leg makes your core rip. So try it out. Lastly, let's talk about hinging or working your legs. Your glutes are the biggest muscle in your entire body. Combine them with your hamstrings, quads, calves, and all the little muscles that also get engaged at the same time. Now we're burning some serious calories. We can work them all at once. Let's talk about your basic squat. A squat sounds almost dirty, right? All it is to stand up. I mean, it's an intimidating sounding thing, but it's not. It's getting up out of a chair. It's getting up off the floor. Sure, if you do it wrong, it can put lots of pressure on your back or on other weak muscles. So let's not do it wrong. First and foremost, something I wish I had learned way earlier is always have a tight core when doing squats. This is so important. It helps keep your spine strong and your hips flat. Before you even begin the movement, engage your core. Also, again, that broom alignment we did earlier, don't forget about that. Here's how to do a basic squat. Imagine you need to use a public bathroom and there's no seat on the toilet. Now, you don't want to sit on that cold, nasty rim, so you have to point your butt back and hover. The point is, you want to push your butt back. Like that movement in the first video where your heels are away from the wall. You start the movement by pushing your hips back, hinging at the hips. Keep your back straight, shoot your hips back, and bend your knees. Try it now. Do it over your chair. This is how some people pop a squat. They go right up on their toes. See the difference? Also, when you don't push your butt back and you squat like this, not only is it brutal on your knees, but feel your hamstrings. They're loose. They're not even engaged. Push your butt back and you can feel your hamstrings engage and squat down. For this video, I'm actually going to focus on chair or stool squats. They are a great starting point. If you're able to do air squats instead, go for it. But I want to show you can be in the office and do these bad boys. No excuses, people. If you do air squats, you want to go as low as you can without breaking your posture. Over time, as your body adapts, you will be able to get lower. One giant mistake people often make is they keep their heads straight up as their body bends down. Look at that. Youch! You need to learn how to keep your neck straight when you bend. Now let's talk knees. We keep our knees tracking over the toes in a straight line when we squat. If your knee does this, you're putting crazy amounts of pressure on it and it will develop pain as a result. Keep the train on the tracks. Breathe in as you go down. Breathe out as you push up. And go slow. We want to imagine that we are pushing the earth down with our heels. Now, maybe the most important thing to remember is when you get to the top, not only squeeze your core, squeeze your glutes. And this is key. We want to burn those guys as much as possible. When you do squats, and this goes for all movements, the eccentric or the down phase is almost more important than the explosive phase or the concentric phase. The eccentric is really when those rips in our muscles happen and what causes our body to repair itself. So don't rush it when you're doing squats or any of these movements. Here's my favorite way of doing squats, and you can incorporate your children or your favorite milk jug, whatever you've got. This movement is called a goblet squat. Well, if your item is big, like a kid, it's more of a Zercher squat, if you want to sound professional. I actually like doing this on a stool or a chair. You could do it in your office chair at work. You pull your kid or whatever, your computer monitor, and you hold it tight against your chest. This helps keep your back straight and gives us that added weight or resistance that I talked about in video 2. Remember, we are aiming for progressive overload, so the more weight we can use, the more we rip our muscles and the more calories we burn. Look, your entire lower body is getting worked. Your core is getting worked. If you hold a weight, your upper body is getting worked. The point I'm trying to make here is if you could do one movement and get totally ripped, it would be this, the squat. Start with 10 a day, 20 a day. Sounds easy, right? Start easy. Don't aim for 100 on your first day. 10 is better than none. The entire point of this video series is the little things matter throughout the day. We can keep that fire burning of burning calories through little movements. Sure, it would be great if you could do all this exercise at once. And in my next video, I'll put together a little program you can do whenever you want. But these types of movements that I showed you today, you can do throughout the day, wherever you are, and they make a huge difference in the long run. I want to be able to move well as I age, to be pain-free, to have strength and energy. One of the best ways we can do this is to associate certain activities with movement. My mom is almost 70, and she put up a little post-it in the bathroom to remind her to do 5 or so push-ups on the counter before she leaves the bathroom. Awesome, right? Sure, it might not seem like much, but it adds up. Same with things like even air squats, doing 5 or 10 here or there while you're waiting. Something is better than nothing. These are small things you can do which makes a big difference when it comes to how you feel later in life. And you'll get results in the short time as well. These aren't the only exercises you should ever do, but it's a great start. They're very efficient, and if you do a lot of them, it will help you accelerate your fat loss, boost your strength, and reinforce your posture. These compound movements allow us to move more weight than isolation exercises. When we move more weight, we build more muscles, which burns calories faster. Remember, we want to bump up our daily calories burned to lose weight quicker. All right, in the next video, we're going to bring everything I've talked about together, and I'm going to share a few things that have had a huge impact on my well-being, mental health, and overall lifestyle. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click the thumbs up if you liked the video. It really helps me out. And sub if you haven't already. See you next time on The Sad Life.